The rain hammered against the pavement like bullets. Each drop a tiny explosion of water that soaked through Mara's thin jacket within seconds. She ran blindly down the Manhattan street, her heels clicking frantically against the concrete, her breath coming in ragged gashes that burned her throat. Behind her, she could hear Derek's voice, slur with alcohol and rage, calling her name in that sickeningly sweet way that always preceded violence. "Mara, baby, come back. I just want to talk." She'd heard those words before. They always meant the same thing: bruised ribs, split lips, and apologies whispered against her hair while she trembled in his arms, too afraid to leave, too broken to stay. Not anymore. Not tonight. Tonight. Something had snapped inside her when he'd raised his fist. Tonight, she finally found the strength to run instead of cowering. But strength didn't mean she had a plan. She had nothing. No phone, no wallet, just the clothes on her back and a desperate need to disappear. The street was eerily empty for New York, the storm having driven everyone indoors. Her lungs screamed for air as she rounded a corner into a darker side street, her ankle twisting painfully in her heels. She couldn't stop. Derek was getting closer. She could hear his footsteps splashing through puddles, could hear him cursing her name. Then she saw it, a sleek black car parked along the curb, its engine purring softly, exhaust rising like smoke in the cold air. The windows were tinted so dark she couldn't see inside, but she didn't care. The back door was slightly ajar, just an inch, as if someone had forgotten to close it properly. Mara didn't think. Thinking would mean hesitating, and hesitating would mean Derek catching up to her. She lunged to the door, yanked it open, and threw herself inside, pulling it shut behind her with a muffled thump. The interior was warm, leather-scented, impossibly luxurious. She pressed herself into the corner of the seat, making herself as small as possible, her chest heaving as she tried to quiet her breathing. Through the tinted windows, she could see Derek's shape stumbling past, his head swiveling left and right, searching for her. She held her breath, every muscle in her body tensed. Looking for someone? The voice came from the shadows beside her, deep and smooth like aged whiskey, with an edge that sent ice water through her veins. Mara's head snapped to the side, and her eyes finally adjusted to the darkness enough to see him. He sat in the far corner of the spacious back seat, perfectly still, watching her with eyes that seemed to glow faintly in the dim light. Even seated, she could tell he was massive. Broad shoulders filled out an expensive black suit that probably cost more than her yearly rent. His face was all sharp angles and harsh beauty, the kind of face that belonged on ancient coins or carved into marble. Dark hair fell across his forehead, and his full lips were set in a line that could have been amusement or annoyance. But it was his eyes that held her frozen. They were the strangest color, amber with flecks of gold, and they pinned her in place like a butterfly on a board. Something primal in her hindbrain screamed danger, screamed predator, screamed run, but she had nowhere left to run to. I'm sorry," she stammered, her hand reaching blindly for the door handle. "I didn't know anyone was in here. I'll just stay." It wasn't a request. The single word carried weight, authority, something that made her hand freeze on the handle despite every instinct telling her to flee. Outside, she could still see Derek's silhouette, closer now, doubling back. The stranger followed her gaze, his eyes narrowing. "The man outside, he's the reason you're running." It wasn't a question, but Mara found herself nodding anyway, her throat too tight to speak. Something dangerous flickered across the stranger's face, something that made him look less human for just a moment. Then it was gone, replaced by an expression of calculated interest. He leaned forward slightly, and she caught his scent, pine and smoke and something wild she couldn't name. "What's your name?" he asked, his voice softer now but no less commanding. "Mara." The word escaped before she could stop it. "Mara." He repeated it like he was tasting it, rolling it around in his mouth. "I'm Constantine. And it seems, Mara, that you've stumbled into something far more dangerous than whatever you're running from." Before she could ask what he meant, he reached forward and rapped twice on the partition, separating them from the driver. The car began to move, smooth and silent as a shark through water. "Wait, no, I can't." Mara lunged for the door again, but Constantine's hand shot out, catching her wrist. His grip was firm but not painful, his skin fever-hot against hers. "Do you want to go back to him?" He nodded toward the window, where Derek was now pounding on the door of a random building, screaming her name loud enough that she could hear it even through the thick glass. Mara's throat constricted. "No." "Then sit back and be silent. I'm taking you somewhere safe. I don't know you. How do I know you're not worse than him?" Constantine's lips curved into something that might have been a smile if it had reached his eyes. "You don't. But you got into my car anyway, which tells me you were desperate enough not to care. So now you have a choice, Mara. You can throw yourself back out onto that street and take your chances with the angry drunk, or you can trust that I have no interest in harming you." She stared at him, her heart hammering against her ribs. He was right. She'd been desperate. She still was. But there was something about him, something that whispered he was telling the truth about not wanting to hurt her, even if that truth came wrapped in shadows and danger. Slowly, she released the door handle and sank back into the seat, her whole body trembling with adrenaline and fear and the sudden, crushing weight of what she'd just done. She'd escaped Derek, but now she was trapped in a car with a complete stranger who looked at her like she was a puzzle he intended to solve. They drove in silence through the rain-slicked streets, the city lights blurring past the windows in streaks of gold and red. Constantine hadn't released her wrist. His thumb rested against her pulse point, and she wondered if he could feel how fast her heart was racing. "Where are you taking me?" she finally asked, her voice small. "My home. You'll stay there tonight, get dry, eat something. Tomorrow, we'll discuss your situation." "I don't need charity." "No," he agreed, his eyes never leaving her face. "You need protection. There's a difference." Something in the way he said it made her shiver. "What makes you think I need protection? You don't know anything about me. I know you're running from an abuser. I know you have no phone, no money, nowhere to go. I know you're intelligent enough to be terrified right now, but brave enough to hide it." His grip on her wrist tightened fractionally. "And I know that there's something about you that makes every instinct I have scream mine." The last word came out almost as a growl, and Mara's eyes widened. "That's insane. You just met me." "Yes." He finally released her wrist, but his gaze remained locked on hers, intense and unwavering. "It is insane, which is why you're going to stay in my home, under my protection, until I figure out what the hell you are, and why fate saw fit to drop you into my car on this particular night. You can't just kidnap me." "I'm not kidnapping you, Mara. The doors are unlocked. But ask yourself, where will you go if you leave? Back to your apartment, where he knows to find you? To a women's shelter with no identification? To the police, who will take a report and send you on your way?" He leaned back, his expression unreadable. "Or you can come with me, where you'll be safe, fed, and given time to figure out your next move. Choose." Mara's nails dug into her palms. She hated that he was right. She hated that she had no good options. But most of all, she hated the small, traitorous part of her that wanted to trust him, that responded to the absolute certainty in his voice when he promised protection. "Who are you?" she whispered. "Really?" Constantine's smile was all teeth. "Someone you should be afraid of, Mara, but not for the reasons you think." The car turned off the main road, heading toward the outskirts of the city. Mara watched the buildings grow sparser, the streetlights fewer and farther between. They were heading into territory she didn't recognize, where the city gave way to forested estates and old money. Finally, they turned through massive iron gates that swung open at their approach, crawling up a long driveway lined with ancient trees. At the end sat a mansion that looked like it belonged in a Gothic novel, all stone and sharp angles, with towers that disappeared into the rainy darkness and windows that glowed with warm light. "You live here?" Mara breathed, momentarily forgetting her fear in the face of such impossible grandeur. "When I'm in the city, yes." Constantine opened his door as the car rolled to a stop beneath a covered entrance. He stepped out, then turned back, extending his hand to her. "Come." Again, that tone of command that made her body respond before her mind could catch up. She took his hand, letting him help her from the car. The moment her feet touched the ground, her injured ankle gave out, and she would have fallen if Constantine hadn't caught her, his arm banding around her waist like steel. "You're hurt." It wasn't a question, but the anger in his voice made her flinch. It's nothing. I twisted it running. Constantine made a sound low in his throat that raised the hair on the back of her neck. Not quite a growl, but close. Before she could protest, he swept her into his arms, cradling her against his chest as if she weighed nothing. I can walk. Be quiet, Mara. The front doors opened before they reached them, revealing a woman in her 50s with steel-gray hair pulled into a severe bun. Her eyes widened when she saw Mara in Constantine's arms, something like shock crossing her features before she schooled her expression into neutrality. Sir, we weren't expecting you to bring a guest. Prepare the blue room, Svetlana, and have cook send up food, something warm. Also, call Dr. Volkov. Tell him I need him here within the hour. Constantine strode through the entrance hall without slowing, carrying Mara up a sweeping staircase like she was made of glass. Constantine, this is too much. I don't need a doctor. You will be examined and treated. Your ankle, at minimum, needs attention. And I want to make sure there are no other injuries I'm not aware of. His jaw clenched. Did he hurt you? Beyond making you run? The question was casual, but Mara heard the steel beneath it. The barely leash violence. Not tonight. I got away before. Her voice cracked. Before he could. Constantine's arms tightened around her, and for a moment, she could have sworn she felt him trembling with some suppressed emotion. Good, because if he had, I would have to go back there and rip out his throat with my bare hands, and that would complicate things considerably. He said it so matter-of-factly that for a moment, Mara thought he was joking. But when she looked up at his face, there was nothing remotely humorous in his expression. He meant every word. You don't even know me, she said again weakly. Why do you care? They reached the top of the stairs, and Constantine carried her down a hallway lined with portraits of stern-looking people in old-fashioned clothing. I don't know, he admitted, his voice rough. I should turn you over to Svetlana and forget you exist. I should have my driver take you to a hotel and never think of you again. But I can't. Every fiber of my being is telling me that you're mine to protect, mine to keep safe, mine. He pushed open a door with his shoulder, revealing a bedroom that was larger than Mara's entire apartment. A four-poster bed dominated the space, draped in midnight blue silk. A fire crackled in a massive stone fireplace, casting dancing shadows across the walls. Constantine set her down gently on the edge of the bed, then stepped back, running a hand through his hair. For the first time, he looked uncertain, almost confused. This is impossible. What is? You. He turned those strange amber eyes on her again, and Mara felt pinned, exposed, like he could see straight through to her soul. Do you believe in fate, Mara? In destiny? I believe in making your own choices. So did I, until tonight. He moved to the fireplace, bracing his hands against the mantel, his back to her. The firelight cast a shadow across the ceiling, and for a moment, Mara could have sworn the shadow was the wrong shape. Too large, too primal. Something with teeth and claws. She blinked, and it was just a man's shadow again. Constantine, you're scaring me. Good. You should be scared. He turned back to her, and his face was stark, fierce. I'm not a good man, Mara. I'm not even really a man at all. But you're here now in my home, and that means you're under my protection whether you want it or not. No one will touch you. No one will hurt you. And anyone who tries will answer to me. Before Mara could respond, a knock sounded at the door. Svetlana entered carrying towels and what looked like night clothes. Behind her came a tall, thin man with wire-rimmed glasses carrying a medical bag. Dr. Volkov, Constantine said, his tone returning to that cool authority. Examine her ankle. Check for any other injuries. If she needs anything, medication, treatment, see that she gets it. Of course. The doctor moved toward Mara with a gentle smile. Hello, my dear. Let's have a look at you, shall we? Constantine moved toward the door, but Mara's voice stopped him. Where are you going? He paused, his hand on the doorframe. To make a phone call. There's someone who needs to understand that you're not to be touched, that if he comes within 100 yards of you again, he won't live to regret it. Constantine, no. You can't. Derek will call the police. His smile was cold, predatory. Let him. I promise you. By the time I'm done with him, he'll be too terrified to do anything but run. And if he's smart, he'll keep running until he's somewhere I can't find him. He tilted his head, studying her. Unless you prefer I leave him alone, after what he's done to you. Mara thought of Derek's fists, his rage, the months of walking on eggshells and making herself smaller, quieter, less. She thought of the bruises she covered with makeup, and the lies she told her friends when they asked if she was okay. She thought of tonight, running through the rain like a hunted animal. "No," she whispered. "I don't want you to leave him alone." Constantine's eyes flashed with something savage and satisfied. "Good girl." Then he was gone, the door closing softly behind him. Dr. Volkov cleared his throat. "Well then, let's see about that ankle, shall we, miss?" Mara, just Mara. As the doctor examined her ankle with gentle efficiency, Mara stared at the door Constantine had disappeared through and wondered what exactly she'd gotten herself into. Because one thing was becoming clear: Constantine was dangerous in a way that had nothing to do with fists or shouting. He was dangerous because when he looked at her, she felt something shift inside her chest, something that whispered maybe, just maybe, she'd been running towards something instead of just away. And that scared her more than anything else. The doctor pronounced her ankle sprained but not broken, wrapped it carefully, and left her with instructions to rest and ice it. Svetlana showed her to an attached bathroom that was larger than most bedrooms, with a tub that could have fit 3 people and more expensive toiletries than Mara had ever seen in one place. "There are clothes in the wardrobe," Svetlana said, her accent thick but her English perfect. "They should fit well enough for tonight. Tomorrow we will arrange for anything else you need. I can't accept." "You can and you will." Svetlana's expression softened slightly. "Constantine has given orders that you are to be cared for. When Constantine gives orders, we obey. It is simpler that way." She paused at the door. "He is not a man to cross, but he is a good man to have on your side. You are safe here, Devachka, safer than you know." After she left, Mara stripped out of her wet clothes and stood under water, so hot it turned her skin pink. She scrubbed away the rain and the fear and the feeling of Derek's hands grabbing at her. But she couldn't scrub away the memory of Constantine's amber eyes or the way her body had responded to his commands like he had some invisible string attached to her spine. The clothes in the wardrobe were expensive, silk and cashmere, all in dark colors. She chose the simplest option, a soft black sweater and leggings that fit perfectly despite having been made for someone else. Someone who lived here. Someone who belonged to Constantine. The thought made her chest tight with an emotion she couldn't name. A cart had been wheeled in while she showered, laden with enough food for 4 people. Mara sat by the fire and forced herself to eat, though her stomach was still twisted with anxiety. The food was incredible: rich soup, fresh bread, roasted vegetables, and meat so tender fell apart at the touch of her fork. She was picking at a slice of chocolate cake when the door opened and Constantine entered. He'd changed clothes too, now wearing black pants and a charcoal sweater that clung to his frame and made him look less like a businessman and more like a dangerous shadow given form. "Did you eat?" he asked, moving to pour himself a drink from a crystal decanter on the dresser. "Yes, thank you. It was delicious." "Good." He came to sit in the chair across from her, close enough that she could feel the heat radiating from his body. He took a sip of whatever was in his glass, whiskey from the smell, and studied her over the rim. "How's your ankle?" "Sprained. The doctor said to rest it. Then you'll stay here for at least a few days until you can walk properly." "I can't impose." "Mara." He leaned forward, elbows on his knees, his gaze intense. "Stop arguing with me. You have nowhere else to go, and we both know it. Stay here. Let me help you." "Let me?" He trailed off, shaking his head as if frustrated with himself. "Let you what?" "Take care of you." The words came out rough, almost angry. "I don't understand it myself. I've never felt this way before, this need to protect, to possess. It's like you've triggered something in me that I can't control." Mara's pulse quickened. "That's not normal." "No, it's not." He drained his glass and set aside. "But nothing about tonight has been normal. So I'm going to be honest with you, Mara, because you deserve that much. You deserve to know what you've gotten yourself into. Okay, she whispered, her mouth suddenly dry. Constantine stood and moved to the window, staring out at the rain-drenched grounds. Do you know what I am, Mara? What I really am? A very rich man with control issues? He huffed a laugh, but there was no humor in it, among other things. But that's not what I'm talking about. He turned back to face her, and his eyes caught the firelight, seeming to glow from within. I'm going to tell you something, and you're not going to believe me, but I need you to listen anyway. Mara nodded, her heart pounding. I am the Alpha King of the East Coast Pack. I am a werewolf, Mara. And you, he moved toward her with that predatory grace that made her breath catch. You are my mate. Silence filled the room, broken only by the crackle of fire and the drum of rain against the windows. Mara stared at him, waiting for the punchline, for him to laugh and tell her he was joking. He didn't laugh. That's impossible, she finally said. Werewolves aren't real. Tell yourself that if it makes you feel better. But you know it's true. You felt it since the moment you got into my car. That pull between us, that recognition on a level deeper than logic or reason. Your instincts have been screaming at you all night, haven't they? Telling you I'm dangerous, but also that you're safe with me. Telling you to run, but also to stay. Mara opened her mouth to deny it, but the words died on her tongue. Because he was right. She had felt all of that. She'd attributed it to trauma and fear and the adrenaline of the night. But what if it was something else? Something impossible? This is insane, she whispered. Yes. Constantine crouched in front of her chair, his face level with hers. But it's also the truth. And here's the part that's going to terrify you, Mara. When a werewolf finds their mate, they become possessive, protective to the point of violence. I've spent the last 2 hours resisting the urge to hunt down your ex-boyfriend and tear him limb from limb. The only thing stopping me is knowing that it would upset you, and upsetting you is physically painful for me. You can't just claim me. I'm not claiming you. The universe already did that when it made you mine. I'm simply explaining the situation. His hand came up slowly, giving her time to pull away, and cupped her cheek. His skin was so warm, almost hot, and Mara found herself leaning into the touch despite her better judgment. You don't have to accept this. You don't have to stay. But I need you to understand what you're walking away from if you leave. What am I walking away from? Me. A pack. Family. Protection. A bond that goes deeper than anything you've ever experienced. His thumb stroked across her cheekbone, and she shivered. I know it's too much. Too fast. I know you've been hurt, and you have no reason to trust anyone, especially not a man you just met. But I'm asking you to give me a chance. Stay here. Heal. Let me show you what it means to be cherished instead of broken. Tears pricked at Mara's eyes, and she didn't know if they were from fear or longing or the simple, overwhelming impossibility of everything that had happened. Why me? I don't know. Fate does explain itself, but I'm grateful for it. He stood, putting distance between them, as if he knew she needed space to breathe. You don't have to decide anything tonight. Sleep. Tomorrow, things will seem clearer. And if I want to leave? Pain flickered across his face. There and gone. Then I'll have my driver take you wherever you want to go. I won't stop you, Mara, but I will spend the rest of my life knowing I let my mate walk away. He moved toward the door, and Mara heard herself call out, Constantine? He paused, his hand on the doorknob. Thank you. For tonight. For everything. Don't thank me yet, he said quietly. You haven't seen what I'm capable of. Then he was gone, leaving her alone with the fire and her swirling thoughts, an impossible, terrifying, thrilling knowledge that her life had just changed forever. Mara didn't sleep well. She tossed and turned in the impossibly comfortable bed, her mind replaying the night's events on an endless loop. Werewolves, mates, Alpha Kings. It was all ridiculous, impossible, the plot of some bad romance novel. And yet she couldn't shake the feeling that Constantine had been telling her the truth. Couldn't ignore the way her body had responded to him, the way something inside her had recognized him on a level that had nothing to do with logic. Couldn't forget the way his eyes had glowed in the firelight or how his shadow had seemed wrong for just a moment. When dawn finally broke, gray and dreary through the rain-streaked windows, Mara gave up on sleep and limped to the bathroom. Her ankle was better but still tender, and she was grateful for the support bandage Dr. Volkov had left. She dressed in jeans and a soft cream sweater from the wardrobe, wondering again whose clothes these had been. A sister? A previous girlfriend? The thought made something ugly twist in her chest, and she firmly pushed it away. She had no claim on Constantine. He'd said she was his mate, but that didn't mean... A knock at the door interrupted her spiraling thoughts. "Come in," she called. Svetlana entered carrying a breakfast tray that smelled like heaven. "Good morning, Devachka. Constantine asked that I bring you breakfast, and see if you need anything." "Where is he?" "Dealing with packed business. He will join you later this morning." Svetlana set the tray on a small table by the window and began arranging the dishes. "How is your ankle?" "Better. Sore, but better." "Good. Eat, then. You need strength." The older woman paused, studying Mara with sharp eyes. "He told you, didn't he? About what we are?" Mara nodded slowly. "He did, though I'm not sure I believe him." "You will." Svetlana smiled, and it was surprisingly warm. "In time, you will see, and you will understand what a gift you have been given. Constantine is a good alpha. Strong, fair, protective of his pack. He has been waiting a long time for you. He couldn't have been waiting for me specifically. He didn't know I existed. Not you specifically, no, but his mate, the one the moon would send to complete him." Svetlana moved toward the door. "Eat, rest, and when you are ready, Constantine would like you to join him in his study. It's on the first floor, the third door on the left from the main staircase." After she left, Mara picked at the breakfast. Eggs, bacon, fresh fruit, pastries that melted on her tongue. She ate more than she expected, hunger winning out over anxiety. Then she spent an hour pacing the room, arguing with herself about what to do. She could leave. Constantine had promised he wouldn't stop her. She could call a cab, go to a women's shelter, start over somewhere Derek would never find her. But she didn't want to leave. That was the terrifying part. Despite everything, or maybe because of everything, she wanted to stay. Wanted to understand this impossible thing Constantine had told her. Wanted to see if the connection she felt was real, or just her traumatized mind grasping at the first person who'd shown her kindness. Finally, she made her decision. She would stay, at least for today, at least long enough to hear him out, to see if any of this insanity made sense in the light of day. She found the study exactly where Svetlana had said it would be. The door was ajar, and she could hear Constantine's voice within, speaking in a language she didn't recognize. Russian, maybe, or something older. She knocked softly, and the conversation cut off. "Come in, Mara." She pushed the door open and found him standing by yet another fireplace, this one smaller and more intimate. He'd been on the phone, which he now slipped into his pocket. He looked tired, she realized, with shadows under his eyes that hadn't been there last night. "You didn't sleep," she said. "No, I had matters to attend to." He gestured to a leather sofa near the fire. "Sit, please. We need to talk." Mara settled onto the sofa, tucking her injured ankle under her. Constantine sat across from her in a matching chair, leaning forward with his elbows on his knees, the same position he'd taken last night, like he was trying to make himself smaller, less threatening. "I spoke to your ex-boyfriend last night," he said without preamble. Mara's blood ran cold. "What did you do?" "Nothing permanent. I merely made it clear that you are under my protection now, and that any attempt to contact you or harm you result in consequences he wouldn't survive." His eyes met hers, hard and unapologetic. "He won't bother you again, Mara. I promise you that. You can't just threaten people." "I can, and I did. And before you tell me I had no right, remember that he had no right to hurt you. No right to make you run through the rain in terror. No right to make you feel like you had to throw yourself into a stranger's car to escape him." Constantine's hands clenched into fists. "So, yes, I threatened him. And if he's smart, he'll take those threats seriously and disappear from your life forever." Mara should have been angry, should have told him he'd overstepped. that she could handle her own problems. But all she felt was relief, profound, overwhelming relief that Derek was gone, that she didn't have to be afraid anymore. "Thank you," she whispered. Some of the tension left Constantine's shoulders. "You don't have to thank me for protecting what's mine. I'm not yours. Not yet, but you will be." He said it with such certainty, such absolute confidence, that Mara didn't know whether to laugh or cry. "But that's not why I asked you here. I need to explain some things to you. About what I am. About what being my mate means." "Okay." Mara drew her knees up to her chest, wrapping her arms around them. "I'm listening. Werewolves are real. We've existed alongside humans for as long as there have been humans to exist alongside. We live in packs, with a hierarchy similar to wolf packs, an alpha who leads, betas who support, and omegas who serve different roles. I am the Alpha King of the East Coast Pack, which means I rule over multiple smaller packs in this region. How many people are we talking about? Around 3,000, give or take. Most live normal human lives, working human jobs, blending in, but we have our own laws, our own ways. And when there are disputes or threats, they come to me." Mara tried to wrap her mind around it. 3,000 werewolves, living hidden among regular people. It sounded like bad fiction. "Why are you telling me this?" "Because if you accept the mate bond, you'll become my queen. You'll be part of this world, this pack. And I need you to understand what that means before you make any decisions. I'm human. Yes, but you're my mate, which means you'll be protected by every member of this pack. It also means you'll be a target for our enemies." That made her stomach drop. Enemies? Rival packs. Rogues who don't respect pack law. Those who would see me weakened. He ran a hand through his hair, frustration evident in every line of his body. "I'm being honest with you, Mara, because you deserve to know the risks. Being with me won't be easy. It won't be safe. But I swear to you, I will do everything in my power to keep you protected." "This is insane," Mara said again, but there was less conviction in it now. "I know, but it's real, and the bond between us is real. You feel it, don't you? That pull." She wanted to deny it, wanted to tell him he was crazy, and she felt nothing. But she couldn't lie, not when he was being so honest with her. "Yes, I feel something, but that doesn't mean—" "Come here." Mara blinked. "What?" "Stand up and come here. I want to show you something." He stood, holding out his hand. Against her better judgment, Mara unfolded herself on the couch and crossed to him, putting her hand in his. The moment their skin touched, warmth flooded through her, like coming in from the cold to find a fire burning. Constantine pulled her closer, until they were standing almost chest to chest. "Close your eyes." "Constantine, trust me, just for a moment." Mara closed her eyes, her heart hammering. She felt Constantine's free hand come up to rest against her chest, right over her racing heart. His palm was so warm it was almost hot, and she could feel her pulse jumping against the skin. "Feel that?" he murmured, his voice low and intimate. "Your heart is racing. Now feel mine." He took her hand and placed it against his own chest. His heart was racing too, matching her rhythm exactly, beat for beat. "The mate bond links us," he explained softly. "Your emotions affect me. Your pain affects me. When you're afraid, I feel it. When you're happy, I feel that too. It's not something I can control or turn off. It just is." Mara opened her eyes and found him staring down at her with an intensity that stole her breath. They were so close she could see flecks of gold swirling in his amber irises, like flames dancing in darkness. "I can feel your fear," he whispered, "but I can also feel something else. Curiosity, interest, the same pull I feel toward you. That doesn't mean I should act on it. I just got out of a terrible relationship. The last thing I need is to jump into something else, especially something this complicated. I'm not asking you to jump into anything. I'm asking you to stay, to give yourself time to heal, to understand what this is between us. No pressure, no expectations." His hand was still over her heart, and she was acutely aware how easy it would be to lean into him, to let him wrap his arms around her and forget the world existed. but she'd made that mistake before. She let Derek sweep her off her feet, had ignored the red flags because she'd been so desperate to be loved. She wouldn't make that mistake again. Mara stepped back, breaking the contact, and immediately felt cold without his warmth. I need time. I need to think. Of course. If Constantine was disappointed, he didn't show it. Take all the time you need. The house is yours to explore. The grounds as well, though I prefer you take someone with you if you go outside, just as a precaution. Am I a prisoner here? No, never. But I would rest easier knowing you're protected. He moved back to his desk, putting distance between them, and Mara was grateful for it. There's a library on the second floor, West Wing. Svetlana can show you. We also have a gym, a pool, and several sitting rooms. Make yourself at home. Thank you. Mara moved toward the door, then paused. Constantine, what happens if I decide I can't do this? Can't be your mate or queen or whatever. For a long moment, he didn't answer. When he finally spoke, his voice was rough with emotion. Then I will let you go. It will destroy me, but I will let you go, because I would rather live knowing you're happy and free than keep you trapped in a life you don't want. The raw honesty in his words made her chest ache. I'm sorry. Don't be sorry for protecting yourself, Mara. You've been hurt enough. I won't add to that, no matter what it costs me. She left before she could do something stupid like cry, or, worse, cross back to him and seek the comfort his arms promised. Instead, she fled to the library, where she spent the next several hours trying to lose herself in books and failing miserably. Because everywhere she went in that house, she felt him, felt the pull of the bond he described, like an invisible thread connecting them across the distance. And the more she tried to ignore it, the stronger it seemed to grow. The next few days fell into an uneasy routine. Constantine gave her space, appearing only at dinner to share a meal and quiet conversation. He asked about her day, told her stories about the pack, carefully editing out anything too violent or disturbing, and never once pushed her for more than she was willing to give. It was driving her crazy, because the man she was getting to know bore no resemblance to Derek or any other man she'd dated. Constantine was unfailingly patient, thoughtful. When she mentioned liking a particular author, books by that author appeared in her room. When she admired a painting in one of the hallways, he told her the story behind it. When her ankle ached from too much walking, he noticed before she said anything and had Dr. Volkov return to check on her. He was also unfailingly proper. He never touched her without permission, never invaded her space, never made her feel threatened or uncomfortable. And somehow, that made her want him more. She was starting to understand what he'd meant about the mate bond, because she could feel him too, now that she was paying attention. Could sense his presence in the house like a warm current in cold water. Could tell when he was troubled or tense even from rooms away. And at night, when she lay in that too-big bed alone, she found herself wishing he would knock on her door just so she could see him. It was terrifying and intoxicating, and she didn't know what to do with it. On the fourth day, Svetlana invited her to accompany her into the city for shopping. Constantine says you're to have a proper wardrobe, the older woman explained. Those clothes you've been borrowing belong to his sister, and while she won't mind, you should have your own things. He has a sister? 3, actually, and 2 brothers. They all want to meet you, but Constantine has forbidden it until you're ready. Svetlana smiled. He's very protective of you. Won't let anyone near you until he's sure you're comfortable. The thought of meeting his family made Mara's stomach clench with anxiety. I'm not sure I'm ready for that. Then we shall go shopping, just the 2 of us. Come, it will be good for you to get out of the house. Mara agreed, partly because she didn't need clothes and partly because she was going stir-crazy. They took one of Constantine's cars, not the sleek black one from that first night, but more understated SUV, with a driver who Svetlana introduced as Alexei. The shopping district was upscale, filled with boutiques that made Mara nervous just looking at them. Constantine said I could outfit you at any store you choose, Svetlana said. So choose freely. Don't worry about costs. I can't let him buy me clothes. It's too much. You are his mate. In our culture, the alpha provides for his mate in all things. It would insult him if you refused. Svetlana patted her hand. Besides, Devachka, you came to him with nothing. Let him give you this. Let him take care of you. It makes him happy. So Mara let herself be dressed in silks and cashmeres, in jeans that fit perfectly and dresses that made her feel beautiful. Svetlana had excellent taste, steering her toward clothes that were elegant but comfortable, expensive but not ostentatious. They bought shoes and accessories, pajamas and workout clothes, even a winter coat for the cold months ahead. You're planning for me to stay, Mara said as Svetlana added yet another item to their growing pile. I'm hoping you'll stay. We all are. Konstantin needs you, even if he's too stubborn to say so. The pack needs you. And I think perhaps you need us too. Before Mara could respond, Alexei appeared at Svetlana's elbow, his expression tight. He murmured something in Russian, and Svetlana's face went pale. What is it? Mara asked. What's wrong? Nothing for you to worry about. But we must go. Now. Svetlana gathered her bags efficiently, handing half to Alexei. Stay close to me. Devachka, don't leave my side. Fear spiked through Mara as they hurried toward the exit. Svetlana, what's happening? Someone is watching us. Someone who shouldn't be. They burst out onto the street, where the SUV was already waiting, engine running. Alexei practically shoved them into the back seat, then climbed into the driver's seat and pulled into traffic with enough speed to make Mara grab for the door handle. Who was watching us? Mara demanded. Svetlana's expression was grim. Rogues. Werewolves who don't belong to any pack. They must have scented you, realized who you are. She pulled out her phone and made a call, speaking rapid-fire Russian. Then to Mara, Konstantin is being informed. He'll meet us at the house. Why would rogues care about me? Because you're the Alpha King's mate. Because taking you would hurt him, weaken him. Because some wolves are stupid enough to think they can use you as leverage. Svetlana reached over and squeezed Mara's hand. Don't worry, you're safe with us. And Konstantin will make sure they never get close to you again. The drive back to the estate seemed to take forever. Mara kept expecting to see cars following them, but Alexei drove with expert precision, taking turns that seemed random but probably weren't, until finally they pulled through those massive iron gates. Konstantin was waiting at the entrance, and the moment the car stopped, he yanked open Mara's door and pulled her out, his hands running over her as if checking for injuries. Are you hurt? Did they touch you? No, I'm fine. Svetlana got us out before. He cut her off by pulling her against his chest, his arms banding around her like steel. She could feel his heart racing, could feel the tremor in his hands. I felt your fear, he said roughly into her hair. Felt it spike and couldn't get to you. Do you have any idea what that did to me? Mara's arms came up slowly, tentatively, wrapping around his waist. This close, she could feel the heat pouring off him, could hear something almost like a growl rumbling in his chest. I'm okay. Svetlana and Alexei protected me. They shouldn't have had to. I should have been there. I should have. He pulled back, cupping her face in his hands, and his eyes were wild, more gold than amber now. This is exactly what I was afraid of. They'll come for you, Mara. They'll try to use you to get to me. Then teach me how to protect myself. He blinked, clearly not expecting that response. What? You said yourself I'll be a target. So teach me how to defend myself, how to fight, how to survive in your world. She met his gaze steadily, despite the fear still coursing through her veins. I won't be helpless, Konstantin. I won't be a victim ever again. Not to Derek, not to rogues, not to anyone. Something fierce and proud flashed across his face. You're sure? Yes. Then I'll teach you myself, starting tomorrow. He released her face but took her hand, threading his fingers through hers. Come, let's get you inside. As they walked into the house, Mara realized something had shifted. She'd stopped thinking of this as a temporary refuge. Somewhere in the last 4 days, it had become something else. It had become home. Konstantin was a demanding teacher. He started her training the next morning at dawn, in a private gym in one of the estate's outbuildings. The space was equipped with everything from free weights to punching bags to what looked like an honest-to-God fighting ring. "We'll start with basics," he said, wrapping her hands with practiced efficiency. "How to throw a punch without breaking your fingers. How to use your attacker's momentum against them. How to go for vulnerable spots." "Eyes, throat, groin," Mara recited. "Yes, but there are others. The instep, the knee, the solar plexus." He moved behind her, adjusting her stance. "Your ankle is healed enough for this. But if it starts hurting, you tell me immediately." "Understood." "Yes, sir." She felt him go still behind her, his hands tightening on her hips. "Don't call me that unless you want me to forget why we're here." Mara's breath caught, heat flooding through her. "Sorry. Don't apologize. Just be aware of what you're doing to me." He stepped away, putting distance between them again, and Mara wanted to scream with frustration. "Now, show me your stance." They trained for 2 hours every morning after that. Constantine was patient but pushed her hard, never letting her give up or give less than her best. He taught her how to fall, how to roll, how to use her smaller size as an advantage. And slowly, Mara felt something change inside her. She felt stronger, more capable, less like the scared woman who'd fled through the rain, and more like someone who could stand and fight. In the afternoons, she explored the estate and got to know the pack members who worked there. The cook, who taught her how to make Russian pastries. The groundskeeper, who showed her the gardens that would bloom in spring. The security team, who treated her with a respect that bordered on reverence. "They see you as their queen already," Constantine explained one evening over dinner. "Even if you haven't accepted the role officially. I don't know how to be a queen. You don't have to know. You just have to be yourself. Care about them. Protect them. The rest will come naturally." He reached across the table and took her hand. "You're already doing it, Mara. I've watched you with the staff, with the pack members. You listen to them. Ask about their lives. Remember their names and their stories. That's what makes a good queen. You're assuming I'm going to stay. I'm hoping you'll stay. There's a difference." His thumb stroked across her knuckles, and the simple touch sent shivers up her arm. "Tell me honestly, what do you feel when you're with me?" Mara took a shaky breath. "Safe. Seen. Like I matter." "You do matter. You matter more than anything." "I'm scared, Constantine. Scared of this bond between us. Scared that it's moving too fast. Scared that I'm going to lose myself again like I did with Derek." "You won't, because I won't let you. And because you're stronger now than you were then." He brought her hand to his lips, pressing a kiss to her palm that made her heart stutter. "I know you're scared, but I'm scared too. Scared that you'll decide I'm not worth the risk. Scared that I'll lose you before I even really have you. How can you be scared of anything? You're an Alpha King. Being an alpha doesn't make me immune to fear. It just means I'm better at hiding it." He released her hand and stood. "Come with me. I want to show you something." He led her outside into the gardens at the back of the estate. The moon was full, hanging huge and silver in the sky, and its light turned everything to shades of gray and white. They walked in silence until they reached a clearing surrounded by ancient trees. "This is where my father proposed to my mother," Constantine said quietly. "Under this same moon, in this same clearing. He was Alpha before me, and she was human like you. Everyone told him it was a mistake, that a human mate would make him weak, but she made him stronger. She gave him perspective, compassion, wisdom. She taught our pack that strength isn't just about power. It's about knowing when to fight and when to show mercy." "What happened to them?" "They were killed 10 years ago. An ambush by a rival pack. My father died protecting her, and she died trying to save him." Pain shadowed his face. "I watched my father's heart break when she fell. Watched him lose the will to live even as he continued fighting. That's the price of the mate bond, Mara. When one dies, the other can't survive for long. That's terrible. It is, but it's also beautiful in its way. To love someone so much that you literally can't live without them. To be so connected that your souls are bound together." He turned to face her, and in the moonlight, his eyes glowed like molten gold. "I'm not asking you to accept that bond blindly. I'm asking you to give us a chance. to see if what we could have together is worth the risk." Mara stared up at him, her heart pounding. She thought about the last 2 weeks, thought about how he'd saved her, protected her, respected her boundaries even when it clearly cost him, thought about how alive she felt around him, how seen and valued, thought about the pull between them that grew stronger every day, the connection that felt like coming home. She thought about Derek, about how he'd made her small and scared and broken. Then she thought about Constantine, about how he made her feel fierce and capable and whole. "I want to try," she whispered. "I want to see where this goes." Constantine's face transformed, hope and joy and something deeper, more primal, flooding his features. "You mean it?" "Yes. I'm still scared, and I'm still going to need time. But I want to try. I want—" She didn't get to finish. Constantine closed the distance between them in one fluid movement, his hands framing her face, and kissed her. It wasn't gentle. It was desperate, consuming, like he'd been holding back for weeks and finally couldn't anymore. His lips moved against hers with a hunger that made her knees weak, and when she gasped, he deepened the kiss, tasting her, claiming her. Mara's hands fisted in his shirt, pulling him closer, and she kissed him back with everything she had. This was different from Derek. Derek's kisses had been possessive, demanding, taking. Constantine's kiss was possessive too, but it was also giving, promising protection and passion, and a love so fierce it took her breath away. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Constantine rested his forehead against hers. "Mine," he murmured, and the word was both question and statement. "Yours," Mara agreed, and felt something inside her click into place, like a key turning in a lock. The mate bond snapped fully into being between them, and suddenly Mara could feel everything Constantine felt. His joy, his relief, his overwhelming love and protectiveness. It was terrifying and exhilarating and perfect. "I can feel you," she breathed. "Inside my head, my heart. I can feel you. And I you." He kissed her again, softer this time, reverent. "My mate, my queen, my Mara." They stayed in that clearing until moon began to set, wrapped in each other's arms, learning the new language of the bond between them. And when they finally walked back to the house, hand in hand, Mara knew that she was exactly where she was meant to be. She'd run from one life and stumbled into another. She'd escaped a man who wanted to break her and found one who wanted to build her up. She'd gotten into a stranger's car to flee her past and driven straight into her future. And somehow, impossibly, she was grateful for all of it. The weeks that followed were a blur of training and pack meetings and slowly learning what it meant to be Constantine's mate. He introduced her to his siblings. 3 fierce sisters who welcomed her with enthusiastic hugs, and 2 protective brothers who sized her up before grudgingly approving. She met pack members from all over the territory, learned their names and their stories, started to understand the complex web of relationships that held the pack together. And through it all, Constantine was by her side, patient when she struggled, proud when she succeeded, endlessly affectionate in a way that made her feel cherished down to her bones. He still hadn't pushed for more than kisses, and Mara appreciated his restraint even as it drove her crazy. She knew he was waiting for her to be ready, to feel safe enough to take that final step. But she was getting there. Every day. She felt a little more whole, a little more healed, a little more capable of accepting everything he wanted to give her. One night, about a month after she'd officially accepted the mate bond, Mara woke from a nightmare about Derek. She was shaking, tears streaming down her face, when her door burst open and Constantine rushed in, wearing only sleep pants, his hair wild. "I felt your fear," he said, crossing to bed. "What happened?" "Just a nightmare. I'm fine." "You're not fine. You're terrified." He sat on the edge of the bed, and Mara didn't hesitate before crawling into his lap, seeking his warmth and strength. He wrapped his arms around her, holding her close. "Tell me." "I dreamed Derek found me, that he hurt me again, that you couldn't save me." She pressed her face against his neck, breathing in his scent, pine and smoke and safety. "I know it's irrational. I know he can't hurt me anymore, but the fear is still there. Fear isn't always rational, and healing isn't linear." He stroked her hair, his touch soothing. Do you want me to stay? Just until you fall asleep again. Mara pulled back to look at him. His eyes were soft with concern, his expression open and vulnerable in a way she'd never seen on an Alpha King. Stay the whole night. Please. Mara. Not for anything else. Just to sleep. I need to know you're here. I need to feel safe. She cupped his face in her hands. Please. All right. He shifted them both so they were lying down, Mara tucked against his chest, his arms around her like a shield against the world. I'll stay. Always. She fell asleep listening to his heartbeat, strong and steady under her ear. And for the first time since she'd left Derek, she slept through the whole night without waking once. When Mara woke, sunlight was streaming through windows and Constantine was still there, watching her with those intense amber eyes. "Good morning," she murmured, suddenly shy. "Good morning, beautiful." He tucked a strand of hair behind her ear. "How do you feel?" "Better. Rested." She traced a finger along his jaw, feeling the stubble there. "Thank you for staying. Always." He caught her hand and kissed her fingers. "Mara, I need to tell you something." Her stomach clenched. "That sounds ominous." "Not ominous. Just important." He sat up, taking her with him, keeping her close. "There's a gathering next week. All the regional alphas will be coming to meet you officially, to recognize you as my mate and queen. It's tradition, and it's important for pack politics. But it's also going to be intense. There will be challenges, both subtle and overt. People testing you, seeing if you're strong enough to stand beside me. You think I'm not ready. I think you're more than ready. But I want you to know what you're walking into." His hand cupped her cheek. "Some of the older alphas won't like that you're human. They'll see it as weakness. They'll try to undermine you, to make you doubt yourself. And I need you to be strong enough to face them down. I can do that. I know you can. I've watched you transform these past weeks. You're not the frightened woman who jumped into my car anymore. You're fierce and capable and exactly the queen this pack needs." He kissed her forehead. "But if it becomes too much, if you need to leave, you tell me. I'll defend you against anyone who questions your place at my side. Even other alphas? Especially other alphas." His eyes flashed gold. "You're mine, Mara. My mate, my queen, my heart. And I'll destroy anyone who tries to hurt you." The gathering was held in the estate's ballroom, a massive space that had been decorated with enough flowers and candles to fill a cathedral. Mara wore a dress that Svetlana had helped her choose, midnight blue silk that made her feel elegant and powerful. Her hair was styled in an intricate updo, and someone had woven small white flowers through the dark strands. "You look like a queen," Constantine said when he came to collect her. He was devastating in a black suit that emphasized his broad shoulders and made his eyes look even more striking. "My queen, I'm nervous." "Don't be. I'll be right beside you the entire time. And remember, you don't have to prove anything to anyone. You're my mate. That's all that matters." But as they descended the stairs into the ballroom full of werewolves, Mara knew it wasn't that simple. She could feel their eyes on her, assessing, judging, questioning. Some faces were friendly. Many were not. Constantine introduced her to Alpha after Alpha, his hand never leaving the small of her back. She smiled and made small talk and tried not to let her anxiety show. Most were polite if reserved. But then they reached a group of older alphas, and one of them, a man with silver hair and cold blue eyes, looked her up and down with undisguised disdain. "So this is the human you've chosen," he said, his voice dripping with contempt. "I expected someone more substantial." Constantine went rigid beside her, a low growl building in his chest. But before he could speak, Mara stepped forward. "I may be human," she said calmly, meeting the alpha's gaze without flinching, "but I'm also Constantine's mate. That makes me queen of the East Coast Pack, whether you like it or not. You can question my humanity all you want, but you will not disrespect me in my own home." The alpha's eyes widened slightly, clearly not expecting her to fight back. "You have no idea what you've gotten yourself into, little human. This world will eat you alive. Then it's a good thing I've learned how to bite back." Mara smiled, all teeth. "Now, if you'll excuse us, we have other guests to greet." Guests who actually have manners. She turned on her heel and walked away, feeling Constantine's pride and amusement through the bond. Behind her, she heard several of the other alphas laughing. "Well done," Constantine murmured in her ear. "You just put Marcus Volkov in his place. He's been questioning my leadership for years. He was rude. He was testing you, and you passed with flying colors." He pressed a kiss to her temple. "That's my queen." The rest of the evening went more smoothly. Word had spread about her confrontation with Marcus, and the other alphas treated her with more respect. By the time the last guest left, Mara was exhausted but triumphant. "You were perfect," Constantine said as they climbed the stairs to their rooms, Mara's room. Technically, though Constantine had been sleeping there every night since that first nightmare. Every alpha in that room now knows that you're not to be underestimated. "I was terrified. You didn't show it. That's what matters." He opened her door, then paused. "Mara, there's something I want to ask you." "What is it?" He turned to face her, and for the first time since she'd met him, he looked uncertain. "Vulnerable. Move into my room. Officially. Share my bed, my life, my everything. I know we've been taking things slow, and I don't want to rush you, but..." "Yes." Constantine blinked. "Yes. Yes. I'm ready, Constantine. I've been ready for a while now. I was just waiting for you to ask." She reached up and pulled his face down to hers, kissing him with all the passion and love and certainty she felt. "I love you. I'm yours. Completely." The sound he made was somewhere between a growl and a groan. He swept her into his arms, carrying her through the connecting door into his room. Their room now, and kicked the door shut behind them. "Mine," he growled against her lips. "Yours," she agreed. "Always." And as he laid her down on their bed, his hands and lips worshipping every inch of her, Mara thought about the night she'd run through the rain, thought about how terrified she'd been, how broken and desperate, thought about how getting into that black car had been the best decision she'd ever made. She'd been looking for an escape. Instead, she'd found a home, a family, a love so fierce and true it healed all her broken places and made her whole again. She'd found her Alpha, her king, her forever, and she would never run again.